What's this stranger doing here? My sister-in-law said disdainfully, entering my house with her husband. Her eyes were full of contempt. You're trying to take advantage of us. Leave the money and get out of here right now, she ordered in a curt voice. I stayed in SOC. Do you really think you're going to stay here? You and Helen are practically strangers, her husband added coldly. It's best if only family members live here, so you better leave as soon as possible. She finished. All they cared about was kicking me out of the house. They insulted me, calling me a profiteer and an intruder. I couldn't take it anymore. Ignoring their words and looking the other way, I gathered my things and left the house. My name is Emma, I'm 35 years old, and I'm a working housewife. I live a quiet life with my husband, David, and my mother-in-law, Helen. I never paid much attention to marriage, but I agreed because I could continue working after we were married. David has always been so sweet to me, always making sure I'm happy. I was told his father passed away when he was in high school, and since then, Elin has been raising him and his sister alone. We don't have children yet, but I know raising them must be a challenge, something I can't fully understand. That's why I was worried about Elin living alone. So I suggested we all move in together after we got married. Helen, what do you think about living with us? If you're okay with it, I'll be working during the day. That way you'll have time to be alone. Besides, food always tastes better when there are other people around, I asked her. Elin smiled. Really? The truth is, living alone has gotten lonely lately, she said. And so we decided to share the home. David had always worried about his mom living alone, but he didn't know how to bring it up. In the end, we realized none of our places were suitable for the three of us. So we bought a new house, put Helen, who has weak legs, on the first floor, and took the second floor as our bedroom. Living with her turned out to be better than I expected. It didn't stress me out at all. In fact, she taught me how to cook and helped me clean, something I wasn't exactly good at. She appreciated everything I did. Elin, thank you for cooking for us every day, but don't overwork yourself, I told her. We're going to be living together for a long time, and if you burn yourself out now, it'll be difficult later. She shook her head. What are you saying? I'm living with you. Let me do at least this much. If I don't, I'd feel like a burden, and I couldn't stand it, he said. Our house was always full of friendly conversation. At first, David worried about possible arguments between us, but seeing how well we got along, he could concentrate on his work without worry. Emma, thank you for taking my mom to me too, he said to me one afternoon. I'll work harder to make you happy. Even though I already had everything I needed, he always made promises like that. I'm already so happy because I have you and your mom, I replied. If I asked for more, I'd be afraid I'd mess it up. I hoped our peaceful life would never end, but my wish didn't last long. A few months after we moved in together, I started to notice Helen wasn't well. Helen, is something wrong? If you have something on your mind, I'm here to listen, I asked gently. Helen, who looked downcast, hesitated for a moment, but finally spoke. Bonnie and Mike have started showing up almost every day, she confessed. They said they needed money, so they took something from my purse and even took food without asking. They're treating this house like it's theirs. What? I exclaimed, frightened. It turns out my sister-in-law and her husband were moving into the house while David and I were at work. I remembered meeting them once before the wedding and again at the ceremony. Bonnie looked me up and down as if sizing me up. So she didn't have a steady job and did whatever she wanted. No wonder Helen was so surprised. It had always been that way. Helen had even told me when I scolded her in the past, she never listened. If you're saying it's because of how I raised her, you're right. It's all my fault, Helen said, her voice filled with guilt. No, that's not true. You're not to blame, Helen, I reassured her. The problem is when adults act selfishly and complicate other people's lives. David, who had overheard us, looked confused. So my sister keeps causing trouble, he sighed. I thought she'd mature after getting married, but it seems she's made things worse. From what he knew, Bonnie's husband, Michiwa, wasn't much of a hard worker either. He preferred to live a relaxed life, taking odd jobs only when the mood struck him. That's probably why they were always short of money, complaining of being broke and hungry. David had tried to talk to them several times, but they never paid any attention. In 3 days it's payday, and they'll probably show up, Helen said, looking serious. I really want to stop them this time. David considered taking the day off to confront them, but his schedule was too tight. I'll stay home with you, I suggested. It's better than letting you face it alone. If they start talking about money, I'll take care of it. And so we planned our strategy. Sure enough, 3 days later, on payday Friday, they arrived just as we were preparing lunch. Hey, Mom, we're here, Bonnie said. We're starving. Do you have anything to eat? Anything's fine, just make us something, Mike added. But when Bonnie saw me, she frowned. Wait, why is Yasmin here?
Aren't you supposed to be working? She asked.
I took the day off to spend time with your mom, I replied. But wait, you just said, we're here like this is your house. Doesn't that seem a little weird? I couldn't contain my frustration. It's pretty rude to walk right in and say, we're home, and then ask her to make us lunch. They've been treating our house like their personal pantry while we're gone. And that really pisses me off, I said firmly. What's wrong with you? Bonnie laughed disdainfully. Remember your place. You're only here because of my brother. Don't talk to me like that. If you have time to argue, you should be making our lunch, he demanded. His attitude left me speechless, and he looked completely defeated. After that, Bonnie did whatever she wanted, raiding our fridge, and even taking a bag of groceries. It was clear that Bonnie and Michua didn't understand the difference between familiarity and disrespect. At least, with me there, they didn't mention the money. That was a small consolation. When David came home, and I told him what had happened, he was furious. This stops here. I'm not going to let them walk all over us anymore. Enough is enough, he said, his face red with rage. Elin kept apologizing. I'm so sorry about all this trouble, but I calmed her down. It's not your fault. We talked for a while to calm down. After that day, David took a firm stance, and the uninvited visitors stopped. Helen began to regain her usual spirits, just when I thought our quiet life might return to normal. A week later, I received a call at work. Okay, I'll be right there, I said, my mind blank. It turned out David had suddenly collapsed at work, clutching his chest in pain. His colleagues rushed him to the hospital, and by the time they arrived, he was unconscious. They had to give him CPR. My hands were shaking as I called Helen. Elin, it's horrible, David. She interrupted me. I'm going to take a taxi right now. I'm on my way to the hospital. The two of us took taxis and headed to the hospital quickly, agreeing to meet at the information table. The warmth at the funeral truly reflected how much my husband had impacted others. However, amid all the chaos, neither Virginia nor I had the chance to grieve properly. There were no problems at her checkup, I said, tears streaming down my face. How unfortunate. If I had paid more attention to her health, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Virginia shook her head. Yasmin, stop it. You did more than anyone could have asked of you. She and I helped each other through the toughest times, but I was still struggling to recover and decided to take some time off work to stay home. But just when I thought things might calm down, another unexpected event occurred. A month after my husband's sudden death, the doorbell rang. It was Bonnie and Mike. Who's this Bonnie? Sigh, looking at me with disdain. Now you're thinking of taking advantage of us. Drop everything and get out of here. I was shocked. Even Mick chimed in. You're not thinking of staying here, are you? You and Virginia aren't even close. Only blood relatives should live here, so get out as soon as possible. Before I could process the situation, a moving truck appeared. And Bonnie, laughing, said, We're moving, just family. While I was still crying, they showed no compassion. Their only concern was to kick me out. They called me a parasite and a foreigner. I couldn't take it anymore. Arguing with people like them wasn't worth it. As I packed my things in my room, Bonnie sneered. Are you feeling sick? You can't stay here. You're younger than me, so I'm sure you'll manage somehow. I ignored her words, avoiding her gaze, and left the house. I didn't know what would happen to them next, but my first stop was a real estate agency. I quickly arranged for the house and property to be put up for sale. I didn't have a mortgage, and if I handled the paperwork, I could be free of Bonnie and Mickey. I'd also taken some precautions in case things got complicated. I had new places in mind and had planned escape routes for Virginia in case she needed to get away from her daughter. Bonnie and Mike were probably planning to live off Virginia's savings, but I wasn't going to allow it. Even though we weren't related by blood, I was determined to take care of Virginia for the rest of her life. Virginia mentioned she was going to do some shopping and then stopped by my house. We're going to stay in a hotel until the new place is readied. IT might be tight since we'll have to share a room, but we'll manage, I suggested. I'm not worried about that, Virginia replied, but I could see she was anxious. Do you think we'll be okay?
What if they follow us again?
Don't worry, I won't let them walk all over us anymore, I reassured her. Things remained quiet for a while, but as expected, a month later, Bonnie called, frantic. What's going on? They've kicked us out. This used to be Wesley's house. Oh, wait, it's in Mom's name.
They can't kick us out like that,
I answered calmly. The house has been in my name since I bought it. I have no intention of living with you. And if I can't live there, there's no reason to keep it. I sold it. We already found a buyer. We're just waiting for you to leave, so please leave as soon as possible. But we have nowhere to go. We're unemployed and in debt. It's unfair that they're taking our house away from us. Excuse me, I said, astonished. Didn't you kick me out of that house? You also told me to stop taking advantage of people, but I left quietly, right? Why don't you check into a hotel or something? We don't have any money. Where are you? Are you with Mom? Let me talk to her. We need help or we're not going to survive, Bonnie begged. I could tell they were deeply in debt. That's not our problem. Stop bothering Virginia. We know you've already drained her savings. Please stay out of her life from now on, I said firmly. Bonnie stammered. How could he be so cruel? She burst into tears, desperately begging for forgiveness, but it was Virginia who intervened. Bonnie, if you think you can keep taking advantage of me, you're wrong. Remember how you used all of Dad's life insurance to pay off your debts? You promised you wouldn't do it again, but you lost it all gambling. I can't take it anymore. Don't contact me anymore. What, Mom? Please don't be so harsh. It's Sue Bonnie. But Virginia abruptly cut the call. Let's block a number. Yasmin will only continue to bother us. She doesn't want to change, Virginia said, frustrated. Virginia, who had previously been afraid and anxious, now had a newfound strength. Maybe it was because I'd finally said what I had to say. Bonnie, realizing I'd blocked her, tried every way possible to reach us. She called Virginia, tried to contact us through my late husband's phone, and became relentless. Since we had no intention of revealing our new address, we blocked her on WhatsApp and set our phones to reject her calls. Bonnie didn't give up. She went to look for us since we had no intention of revealing our new address. We blocked her on WhatsApp and set our phones to reject her calls, thinking that digital silence would be enough to create the distance we desperately needed, but Bonnie never gave up so easily. She was the kind of person who thrived on control, who couldn't stand the idea of not being part of a narrative, even when her role in it had been rightfully cut off. So when she realized that her messages weren't going through and her calls were being rejected, she escalated in the way only someone addicted to manipulation could, by showing up in person, knocking on doors, asking neighbors, driving by places she thought we might frequent, weaving herself into the corners of our lives where we never invited her. The first time she appeared near the supermarket parking lot, it was almost laughable, her casual, "Oh, fancy seeing you here," delivery as if she hadn't stalked us for weeks. But behind that smile was a steel edge that made it clear she wouldn't stop until she reclaimed her imagined authority over us. We walked past her without a word, holding our bags tighter, refusing to give her the fuel of a reaction, because that was what she fed on: attention, conflict, the opportunity to twist any interaction into her version of the truth. But her persistence didn't end there. It grew bolder. From notes slipped under car wipers to sudden appearances at mutual acquaintances' gatherings, her questions sugar-coated yet invasive. "Have you heard from them? Do you know where they moved?" Until it became obvious that her obsession was not about reconciliation, but about ownership. She couldn't accept that we had removed ourselves from her grip, So she reframed herself as the victim, telling anyone who would listen that we had abandoned her, cut her out cruelly, without reason, painting us as heartless in order to mask her own suffocating patterns. But the truth was simpler and sharper. Sometimes survival means severing ties, not with hate, but with finality. And though her determination to intrude sometimes shook our nerves, it only reminded us why we had taken those steps in the first place, why we had changed our number, moved away, rebuilt our peace in secrecy, because freedom from her meant more than just distance. It meant the ability to breathe without waiting for the next storm of her demands. Bonian's search for us became the echo of her inability to let go. But we had already learned that silence, when wielded with resolve, is louder than any confrontation, and with every unanswered attempt, every blocked message, every ignored appearance, she was forced to face a truth she had denied for too long, that her power over us had ended, and that we would rather live hidden in peace than visible in her cage.